Hey there, heroes. Thanks for tuning back into the channel. If you are new here, I hope you find a way you can have more fun playing board games and also be a hero in real life. If you're coming back to us, hopefully you're coming back a little bit better than you were yesterday. Today we're going to talk about game organization, and I'm kind of an organization nut. I like to organize things and make them look a little bit prettier, a little bit more manageable, which again, not only in your board gaming life, but if there's something in your personal life that needs managing or organizing, hopefully you tackle that. Find a way to do it. Do some research online, ask some friends for help, but find a way you can organize your life so that it's a little less hectic and a little less mayhem, so you can enjoy your life and be a hero. So today I have the game Horizons of Spirit Island. I don't have the real Spirit Island game. I just have this retail version, which I can't really figure out why people like this game so much. I think it's okay, but it's rated really high on Board Game Geek. I think the game's just okay. But when I first got the game, it came with a whole bunch of Ziploc bags. In fact, I don't even know if it even came with them. I might have had to use my own. Maybe it did. Ziploc bags full of all the pieces to the game. And it drove me crazy every time I opened the game up. I had to open up all the bags and dump out all the little tiles and little piles all the way around the game. And then when we were done with the game, we had to go put them back in the piles and put them back in the Ziploc bags and zip them all up and tuck them all back in the box. It just became really hectic. So I had the idea of grabbing a piece of foam board and making myself an organizer for this game so the game was a little bit more manageable. So on top here, we just have the character cards here. Oh, and one thing to keep in mind, when you do make your organizer, make sure you leave a little bit of space right here to fit your board and your manuals, anything that might go on top of the game. So don't make your organizer go right to the edge of the box here, because then you're not going to be able to fit your board and stuff on top of there. So I left a little space here to fit the player boards on top of there. We have the rules manual here and the quick start guide. And then on top of there is the board, and then there's the organizer. So I found this to be way more helpful than a bunch of Ziploc bags, because when you're done with some tokens, you can just toss them back in here and they're already put away. And you don't have all these little piles all the way around the boards. So here, just to go through this, we have the power cards over here that are the cards you get throughout the game to upgrade your abilities. And then I haven't played this game in a little while, so these are the cards you turn over for where the bad guys, or the good guys, depending on which way you look at it, the explorers show up here. And I just, basically when I made this organizer, I knew that I had to fit the cards in one side, and then whatever was left, I was going to use that for tokens. So I made stacks of cards just to see kind of how tall they were. And then I made 3 separate compartments here to hold the cards, and I just split those up. And then whatever I had left over, I used that for tokens. And I thought, okay, let's see, should I do 2 compartments? No, because then I have to mix a bunch of stuff together. What if I did 3? No, I'd still have to mix a bunch of stuff together. And I kind of looked at it to see, I have just enough room to do 6 to have them not be too overfilled. And so this way, when I play the game, I can just take this little box out of here and set this aside. And then when you get the board all unfolded, you just set this next to the game. And as you're playing the game, and some settlements start to show up here, and some of these explorers start to show up, and then as you're taking them off the board, you can just toss them right back into there. And the cleanup for the game is so much easier because I just fold the board up, stick this back in the box, and this goes right back on top. Now, as far as making this, the way I did that was I just measured the inside of the box here from one end to the other end, and figured I'd have a flat piece to go on the bottom to fit on the bottom. And I made it just a tiny bit smaller, I think like a 1/16 of an inch or an 1/8 of an inch or something like that, just so that it would fit down inside of here and I wouldn't be pushing it down in and then not be able to get it back out. So I wanted it to be a little bit loose so I could actually get the boxes out of here. And then once I decided to make this box for the cards, I measured how much I needed for the cards. And it's kind of tight to get your finger in here. You kind of can. On some of the other organizers, I put a little hole in the back so you could push them out with your finger. But this way you can reach, there's just enough room over here on the side. So you can pull the cards out of there. So you don't want to make it too tight. You have to dump them out. You want to be able to get your finger in there. And then once I had the size for this, I stuck that in there and again measured it the width here, and then this way just big enough to fit the cards. And then whatever I had left over, I measured this to do the box for the tokens. And then again, once you're done playing, you can just slip this back into here and your board goes on top of this. Again, I made sure I measured the board here and the manuals roughly just to get an idea on how much space I needed here to fit the board and everything back in here. So that's this game, a little bit of a simpler game. This was pretty easy to put together. Now, a little more complicated one is going to be this game here. And for everybody who's played this game, plus the expansions, there's a ton of content to this game. I think this is a really cool game with a couple of house rules. I don't know what your guys' opinions are. The Dungeon Dive did a really good video on top house rule games. If you haven't checked that out, it's a pretty good channel to go check out. And again, I like kind of like the gothic theme to this, the werewolves and the vampires. It's kind of fun, a little bit of a twist on a kind of adventure tabletop RPG-ish sort of game. But there was a lot of things that really bothered us when we played the game, like when you go to the store and you can only turn over one card. That drove me crazy. That I feel like if you go into a town and go to the shop, there's going to be more than one item to buy. So anyway, that and a couple other house rules we did to make this game a little bit more fun. But let me just show you this here, a little bit more complicated. And this system is not perfect, I'm just going to tell you. And I actually had 2 or 3 iterations before I finally figured out how to put this together. Oh, one thing I almost did forget to mention. So how did I put these together? Well, let me open this up here and we'll show you here. I just used foam board. And the reason why I chose this black foam board was because it said it was extra strong. I don't know if that's the case or not, but it said the black foam board was extra strong. And it kind of matched the inside of the box a little bit better than a white foam board, which is the reason why I picked this one. And basically what I did was I got one of those steel rulers that you can get from any hobby or craft store, or even maybe Walmart sells them. And I would just measure out on the foam board how big of a piece I needed and just use the ruler to draw a faint line with a pencil. And then I would just set the metal ruler on there and with a razor knife just do a couple passes to cut down to get the pieces cut out. Keep in mind, put a cutting mat underneath it. I might have cut our kitchen table a little bit because I wasn't thinking, but put a cutting mat or something underneath that, because when you get through to the bottom, you're going to be cutting all the way through and cutting what's underneath your foam board. And then once I had the pieces all cut out, I would kind of just dry fit them in the box just to make sure, is this going to fit in there? And if so, I would just use a hot glue gun and I would just run a little bit of hot glue on the edge of it and then just stick it down on there and hold it and let it dry for a little bit. And I just pieced them all together with hot glue and then just stuck them down in the box. If you have a nice sharp knife, you're going to get a smooth cut like this. You might have seen on Spirit Island that there was a couple of jaggedy ones because my razor knife was a little bit dull. So it kind of tore it up a little bit, and I swapped it out for a sharper one, and it cut these ones a little bit better. So again, with this game, I was hoping I could get the game and all the expansions into one box. Not possible. Mainly because of the map tiles and all the extra enemy tokens. I just wasn't able to fit them all in one box. So I got most of the content in one box, with the exception of the map tiles for the expansions, the enemy tokens, and the enemy cards. I had to leave them in the other boxes just because they wouldn't fit in here. But we have the story journal and the rule book on top here, the map tiles for the game. And then again, this is where it was a little tricky with the board here, because the board didn't cover the whole box. And so when I made this compartment, the compartment underneath it, I had to make sure I measured this board here to see how thick it was, so that there was just enough of a little gap here where I could fit that on top, and then it was flush once it sat on top of there. So the board fits nicely into there. This side, again, not a perfect system here because there's so much content. I just had to see where I could squeeze stuff into here. But the nice thing is it saved me on a million Ziploc bags. I like the Ziploc bags if you have just a couple of them, or if you get into them not very often. If you're getting into them all the time and putting stuff in and out, it just kind of becomes a pain. So I just tossed the dice on top of here because there's really no better place to put those. And then right down here, I have all the standees for all the monsters. And I just took a little a piece of cardstock and just cut a little piece out like this that I could just stick inside of there so I could kind of split them up. I put them in alphabetical order, so I guess you don't really need these. So you could just kind of flip through here until you find the ones you need. And then at the front here are the character tokens that we're using, and also in their spirit forms here at the front, so they're easy to get to. These were separate. They didn't come with the game. These were hit point and Vita trackers that I bought just because We started out writing down on a piece of paper, and we just cross it out, write the next one down. It just became cumbersome to write them all down. So we finally broke down and bought some of these. I think I just got these from Amazon. Over here, we have all the smaller cards for the game, all the different rituals and ability cards. The shop is here. So when we go to the shop, which don't get me started on that, when we go to the shop, we can flip an item over. Oh, what do we get from the shop? And those are all in here. And then we can just take those out and shuffle them up from time to time, stick them back in here. Over on this side, we have all the event cards for the game. So we have the world event cards. And just whenever we need one of these, we just go into the appropriate spot. No, I'm going to get a rumor now. I'm going to pull one out of here. And then again, we have the town events and the road events. And such all over here. The off-road events are all just tucked into here. And we just kind of leave this off to the side of the game, have the game in the middle of the table, and this is just off to the side. So if we need a card, we can just reach over and pull one out. This box here contains all of the player information. This is kind of where I started with this, because I wanted us to be able to put all of our player stuff back into one area. These are all the cards for the monsters, including all the extra rule cards that came with the game and all the expansions in here. And you can see that all the monster cards are over here. And then so again, I just measured this out. How big do I need for monster cards? And this I had to kind of do together. And the cards over here, can I fit these together? No, I have just enough space if I put these sideways to have something else over here. What can I put here? And then I thought to stick the standees in there. But right here we have all of the characters' ability cards, the items they have. I just stuck these attack or defend tokens in here so we can just pull them out when we go to play. This guy's got a couple of bandages. And we just stack the cards up here, all the current hit points. And we just make a note on the player sheet to know whose is whose of these, or it doesn't really matter if the note's on it. I guess you could just change these. Then again, over here we have a couple of tokens that the players already had that were written down on their sheets, but we just have them out so we can just pass those out when it's time to go. And then in here, all the player cards in here. I think this is the one I put the little spot on the back to push these out. I needed to push them out, the little hole there. And then inside of here, we just have looks like this is a rumor card. This person has a side quest, their character sheet here, and then their character card. We just tuck all that into here, and then those all just fit back into here when we're ready to stop playing. And we just throw everything back in here, and it just makes cleanup a little bit easier and setup a little bit easier, because this is all in this compartment here. You can just take all the player stuff out of here and pass it out. And then underneath here, I knew that I was going to be able to fit 2 trays in here because of the thickness of the box. The tray didn't take up very much room, so I knew I could fit 2 in here. And so I made another tray to fit all of the tokens in. I just stick this initiative board. Again, this is with one of the expansions this comes with. And then over here, we just have all the tokens. And this was a little bit tricky to do. Basically, I just, again, set stacks of tokens out to see how tall they were. And this goes right up to the edge of here. I don't know if you can see that, but that is just to the very edge. I mean, that's almost flush with that. And again, this is the one where I had to do it a couple of times, because the first time I did it, it was a little bit too tall. And when I went to go put the board back in, it stuck up too high and you really couldn't close the lid. So I basically just figured out, well, let me have one big compartment to put all these standees in for the standees, for the heroes and the enemies. And then I just started making stacks of all these tokens they're mostly in by themselves. You can see in here there's some rubble and also some wanted tokens in there, mostly by themselves, but every once in a while I have to try to remember, wait, where did I put that? Oh yeah, those things are down underneath these. But this way, again, I'll have to open up a million Ziploc bags and search around for stuff. I can just pull these out of here. Oh, time to get a boon token. We'll shuffle these up and grab one out of there and stick them back in here. Again, these come with an expansion here, tokens to show your conditions. You don't have to use these, and I have mixed feelings about them because you can just write it down in your sheet and look at your sheet. This does help to remind you, because sometimes we'll have a condition and we'll forget about it and just keep playing. And so it's nice to have these little tokens there. But again, I just laid these out in stacks and just measured, okay, so I already have this box already made. So let me just make an outline of this one to match the top box. And then I just took a look to see, I just set the tokens in little piles just to see where they'd fit. And then I just measured these little pieces and cut them all out and just glued them all in here with the hot glue gun. They're able to all fit in there. So again, they're not a perfect system. It's a little bit tight in this box to fit everything in here. If you've watched my Gloomhaven video, one of the things I gripe about on that is an organizer. I think this foam board was like $5 or something. And and took me most of an evening to put this one together. The Spirit Island one went a little bit quicker because it was simpler. But it just makes the game a little bit easier to manage with everything organized in here. And then again, when you go to put it away, again, we set this, we pull this out as well and just set it next to the game board. So if we need a token, we can just pull it out of here. And then when we're done, we just slide this box back in, slide this one back in here. All the dice are just gonna get tossed right back up on top of here. And then the board, again, I measured just enough there to see how thick this was so that this would fit over here and still have enough room. Oh, I will mention that the way I got the size for these, the outline on the outside was based off of the size of this. I just measured this and cut out a piece and said, okay, this is what I've got to work with for these and for the tokens underneath. And then I was able to make the different compartments, but I knew I wanted it to match this. And then whatever was left over, I was gonna have to fit the cards in somehow. So again, just did stacks of cards and just kind of experimented to see where they would fit. Oh, I forgot a couple of my items here. Eraser in here and pencils. The bookkeeping on this game is a little bit tedious for anybody who's played it. You might experience that as well. There's a lot of bookkeeping to do and writing stuff down. But we do enjoy playing this game. I forgot that too. Oh well. Just because it's a little bit of a different twist on the average role-playing game. I hope that's helpful. Again, any game that you have that you find yourself with a million Ziploc bags, again, just pop the lid off the box and measure the inside of this to see how big of a piece you need to put in there. It's nice to, again, have that separate side section, like in Spirit Island, you can pull out with the tokens on it. So you can just set that next to the board, and a razor knife, a steel ruler, and a hot glue gun. And you can put something like this together and make your gaming life a little bit easier. Hopefully your personal life too, if there's some organization that needs to take place, that you're working on that, whether it be around the house, whether it be with your career, whether it be with your family and friends. Get that organized so that your life becomes a little bit less hectic and a little bit less chaotic. Hope you guys are being heroes. Hope you guys are leveling up. If you see an area of your life where you feel like you're lacking a little bit, work on that. Make yourself better as a person. Make yourself a warrior, a wizard, whatever you want to be in real life. But the kind of person that's valuable to your family and your community. You guys take care.